everyone. Thank you very much for coming to the content marketing strategy class that we've got on this afternoon. Just to introduce myself, my name is Rebecca Drew. I'm an account executive at LinkedIn. Basically what I do is I advise recruitment business owners and search agencies on how to get more out of LinkedIn. My background was recruitment, so I was in recruitment for about 10 years before joining LinkedIn 2.5 years ago. The last 5 years I worked for a management consulting firm in their recruitment arm, so I've done a lot around kind of recruitment transformation.
Hi everybody, my name is Wesley. I'm a customer success manager for LinkedIn, which pretty much means I have the best job in the world. Why? Because I can help you become more successful in your branding, in your sourcing and in your recruitment efforts. And the way that I do that is of course by explaining and consulting how our products work. But the other part of my job, which is a crucial one, is really making sure that everybody understands the power of your brand ambassadors. And a great way to leverage your brand ambassadors, whoever they may be, is via content. So we're here to share you some best practices on the learnings that we had from the last 10 years.
So what we're going to cover today. So firstly, start off with what is content marketing. I went to see a recruitment agency literally about a month ago, and they asked me what is content marketing. So I thought it'd be good to kind of cover that off to begin with, and really kind of the so what, the kind of why you guys should care. We're then going to look into the kind of content marketing strategy and tips. So we're going to look at how you kind of look at your brand, how your brand is perceived in the market. We're going to sort of touch on that. Listening and understand your audience. We're going to cover questions and planning, some examples of great content that we've seen from a LinkedIn perspective. Some tools that you can use, and then also we're going to finish with a client panel, which is really exciting. So, rather than us just kind of presenting to you guys, you're going to be able to hear from some real experts in the market that are doing this and doing this really, really well. So hopefully you can come away from this session today with some inspiration about what you guys can start to kind of push out. So starting with kind of what is content marketing, obviously there's a kind of definition there, helpful definition from the Content Marketing Association. But, as Dave and, many people today have said, today it's more important than ever, around what you actually share. From a content perspective, you are what you share. People say kind of, the phrase content is king. So, the reason why you should share about it, or why you should care about that is, partly because of, it will build your brand awareness. Help you kind of engage in better relationships and the kind of so what thing, and the reason, I'm a kind of ex-recruiter myself, so ultimately this will help your business, your consultants to make more placements, win more clients, etc. So your brand versus brand perception. So, I mean, at the moment, you could be thinking, right, okay, well, our brand stands for this in the marketplace. And you may have kind of seen this picture before in terms of what the actual kind of perception of your brand may be. So this slide for me kind of covers two things, really. You can think about, actually, internally, you think you stand for something, but externally, other people may have a different opinion of what your business and brand stand for. And also, it's around kind of the second point for me on this slide is around budget. Okay, so, you may not have the biggest budget. I mean, you should be allocating some budget to content marketing. But, even with a limited budget, you can still position yourself as a much bigger, much kind of, better kind of company, by kind of sharing content. What we have to do first is start with listening, okay? Can I just get a kind of like show of hands? Anyone use Google Alerts in the room? Yeah? Good, okay. So Google Alerts is fantastic. This is a way that you can start to monitor what is being said about your company. It could be about topics that you guys are interested in or that your candidates or clients are interested in. There's also as well, it's been mentioned before today, but Hootsuite. Hootsuite is fantastic for that. So, I use Hootsuite as a social media dashboard. But also what happens is you can put in to follow certain kind of like keywords or anything that's out there. So for me personally, one of our products is the LinkedIn Recruiter tool, and therefore I want to know every time someone mentions that out there in the in the online world, because I want to know what people are saying about the kind of products and services that we provide. And as Dave touched on, building out personas, this is really, really important. If you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to look in the kind of wrong places. So being able to understand and kind of build those personas. So, who are your candidates? Who are your clients? What are they interested in? Again, a lot of what Dave has kind of touched on in the last session. What channels are going to be the best channels to go down? And what's the message that you want to kind of like say? So
Thank you. Okay, so you now know your brand gap because you have done your research. You now know your target audience because you built the personas. So the next steps for you is actually to think about the content and content planning. And I have realized that this is something where my clients seem to struggle with. What we try to do is try to make our customers think for themselves instead of us trying to say, okay, this is how it should be. So I asked them questions, and I just wanted to walk through these questions with you guys so that you can get to the same thought process that we go to during these consultation hours. So the first questions are actually about content itself. What can we create? And on the other hand, what can we share? So there's good news in that. You do not have to create all content yourself. So again, that's good news because people sometimes feel a little bit worried that they have to do everything themselves. Two things that I want to say with that is that relevance is key. Who knows the 80-20 rule? Pretty spoke about. It's about 80% shouldn't be about you. 80% should be about adding value to your target audiences. And you can have multiple target audiences, so also make sure that whatever you send out is relevant for that specific target audience. So with LinkedIn, you can use the target updates and things like that, so it goes to the right people. The other thing is, you might have noticed it, but when I look at Twitter, I see a lot of URLs and just the title of the specific blog. If you want to get more engagement, what I would advise you to do is just add your comments or ask a question about something that you have read. There's a great way to get more engagement when you are sharing something or when you're creating something. The other question, who is responsible for what types of content? And the thing is, in an organization, people kind of think that they are alone. When you're looking at the content, the marketing department or recruitment department, you are not alone. And actually, your colleagues know their stuff better than you do, obviously. So why not get them engaged as well? This is something that Dave also touched upon. Make sure that you leverage your employees. What I did with my old company, and Britt is actually going to talk a little bit about it in just a couple of seconds, but what we did is we did research on which colleagues were really into social media, who were really already writing those blogs, and we gave them an official title. So they were the brand ambassadors of Temper Team. That was my old employer. And with that, we gave them a stage to stand on and to talk about. Because who else is better to say how it is to work via Temper Team in this case, or via or for the company themselves. So make sure you give the stage to somebody else. When are certain topics more relevant? I'm Dutch. I'm not sure if you can hear the tongue fall a little bit. In the Netherlands, we have something which is called an inhaakagenda. It's a great one to practice actually together. But it's a public event calendar. And I think that Hallmark online has something like that. And the thing is, it helps you build content which is relevant at that time. So maybe you are a campus recruiter, and maybe you would like to share some tips in the summer when people start preparing for the examinations. Again, make it relevant at that time as well. How often should we post? This is something that we have done research on very recently. I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit later on. But the thing is, there are a couple of things that you have to remember. The first one is, on what social platform are you? The other thing is, who's your target audience? And also try to figure out how mature is our organization. Because what I sometimes see happening, and actually that was my fault as well, I thought, okay, so I know my target audience. They are on Facebook, they are on Twitter, and they are on LinkedIn. I want to be active in all those platforms right now, because my target audience are there. Take a step back, focus on your main platform, make sure you do that in the best way that you can, and then think about getting into the next one. So make sure that what you do it correctly. Who will be responsible for following up? And again, this is something where loads of my clients are struggling with, because I know we are not or maybe some of you are, but guessing the most of you aren't, the big airliner who has like 20 social media gurus who are continuously monitoring everything that has been said about your brand. So what I try to advise on is get one person responsible for monitoring, try to do that 3 times a day. So for instance, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, once just before they go home, and make them aware that, make them know which persons within the organization you can come to for questions, for the right person to answer those. Does that make sense? Cool. I'm not going to read this out, you can read it yourself, but the best thing is we will be sharing all these slides, and there's a download link in this. And this is the download link to the research that we have done. It's a playbook, and in the playbook we will discuss more than just the big 3, so all the popular networks are in there, and you can see what is the network good for. What kind of content works really good at those platforms? And when should we be posting, and how often should you be posting? What we do right here is we look at the peak hours when it's really crowded on those networks. So best thing, send your messages at that time. We are going to give you some examples of great content. But before I do that, I want to make sure that you are able to find great content yourself. And of course, you're all using LinkedIn. You're using polls. You're using the groups. And that's a great way to find content that you can share, but also to get ideas on what kind of content you can create. And the best thing from that is that it's in your network. It's happening in your network, so you kind of know this is relevant for me and for my audience as well. The other thing is actually something that Dave mentioned as well. It's BuzzSumo, and we also have BuzzSpice. Love it. The thing is, you put in one keyword, and it will give you the most relevant or the most popular content there is. Again, great way to learn or to share. Dave was also talking about the influencer. Same thing. If you put in your keyword, you can find the persons that are really influential in that specific area that you have to search upon.
Okay guys, so we're going to look at some examples of some great content that's out there, and the reasons why it's great content, the reason why it's kind of shared, and in some cases goes viral. Hopefully by the end of this you'll have a bit of sort of inspiration around some of the things that you guys can be sharing, and then we're going to come on to the client panel. So I thought it'd be good to start with some examples from the actual kind of client panel. So this is a piece of content that was pushed out by Cranberry Panda. So these guys have done a salary survey, so that's specific to their industry vertical that they work within. That's demonstrating, kind of insight and knowledge, and it's adding value to the clients and also the candidates within their industry vertical. Got an example here from Tempo Team. So it's kind of it seems like a kind of really obvious thing, but if you want to get more kind of comments, if you want to get more engagement, ask questions. If you've got something that you've got an opinion about, or you'd like to get some other people's opinion on, ask a question. You're likely to get 50% more comments. Harrington Starr, these guys produce a monthly trading technologist kind of newsletter, which goes out to all of their followers. And this is, again, sort of demonstrating that expertise in the particular industry sector that they work in, which is kind of adding value again. The Up Group, so video content. Video content is huge. It gets 100% more engagement. So if you can squirrel away a little bit of your your budget to go towards video, it really will have a big impact. This one here was where they were featured in the London Technology Week. Digital Gurus, Dave mentioned Digital Gurus. These guys are really good at kind of pushing out content as well. So things like being able to push out something for your active candidates. This is kind of like a win-win situation with this piece of content, because it's adding value to your candidates, but it's also doing is it's helping them and coaching them from an interview perspective. So if they have a better interview, they'll probably get the job, and you guys will get the fee. If you're looking to hire internally, one of the biggest things when I talk to recruitment company owners is we need talent. It's like one of the big kind of 3 headaches that the recruitment industry has is around talent. So what Interquest did here was they wanted to put a picture up of the team. So kind of make it sort of human, not just we are looking for people, we're fantastic. Actually kind of make it sort of human. Dave was talking about sort of human tactics in a digital world. This is the team. If you want to kind of join this team, they're like a pretty kind of friendly bunch. Links to articles. So putting a link into an article will mean that you'll get 45% more engagement. So again, don't just kind of put the link, but also, as Wes said, make sure that you've put some sort of comment in there, or if it's whatever you kind of feel about it. Top tips are great, and kind of best of. Like I say, if you've got a kind of list of top tips or best of, that will get you 40% more amplification as well. So if there's something that you come across that you see, that's always a good one to use. Infographics, everyone loves an infographic. I certainly do anyway. I'll go potty for infographics and stuff. I'm a bit sad, I need to get out more. But infographics are great. You know, it's a visual representation of the data that you're looking to kind of get across. So, you know, if you can you know, sort of share those or create those infographics. We've got some examples actually of infographics a bit later with the client panel. And finally, you know, kind of leading with statistics as well. We know that will drive up clicks. So, you know, if you do have any stats at all, if you've got any kind of information that you can share of that nature, you know, it will get seen, it will get shared.
Thanks. So I want to share some of the tools that I use a lot. But I also know the tools that I'm using might not be the tools that everybody uses right here. And I'm also very aware of the fact that you guys know more together than I know by myself. So before I do this, I want everybody to grab their telephone or iPad or tablet, whatever. Send a tweet to #RecruitIn and let's learn from each other. What I would like to know is, what is your favorite tool and why? While you are doing that, I will show you the tools that I really like and why I would like that. So for me, it's all about Hootsuite. TweetDeck does almost a similar thing. It's a social media dashboard. You can schedule your messages automatically, post it on different networks. You probably know this. You might know Buffer as well. The reason why I love Buffer is because it has a really great Chrome extension. I love Chrome. Just put in just click on the extension whenever you have a great article that you want to share with your network, and it pops up, and it will get scheduled on the times that you have set up in Buffer. And once again, in the playbook that you can download are all the times that work best for you. So set it up once. Whenever you read something, click the button, and it will be shared at that time when it's most relevant for your target audience. So that's why I love Buffer. I got a great tip from somebody else, and actually I didn't know that when I was creating this deck, is that Twitter has opened their analytics. Who has seen that already? Thank you, that was a tip. It's supposed to be really good. I did not have the time yet to check it out. But before that, I was using tweet reach, because you want to be able to see where has my tweet gone and how many clicks did I had, how many people. You want to be able to tweak your content marketing, and Twitter Analytics or tweet reach can definitely help you with that. Manage Flitter. Manage Flitter helps me manage my Twitter followers. I got a couple, and actually, this might be bad, but if you don't follow me back, you will be unfollowed as well. Social, guys, there's no rules, so don't shoot me for it. For me, if somebody's very interesting, I will still put him on my list. So I will still follow him, but hey, come on, give me the courtesy to follow me back. That's how I think, at least. So Manage Flitter helps you. You can also filter on who's really not active. So if you haven't sent a tweet in 6 months, why should I still follow you? Not relevant for me in that case. So Manage Flitter can help you with that. Crowd Booster. So remember when I was talking about when should you best post? That is based on when it's the most traffic on those specific networks. You have the most chance to be seen. What Crowd Booster does, it looks at your network, and it looks at the best times that you should place your updates based on your network. So that's a great one. I used it a lot until it was a paid service, so it's paid now. Kind of cheap, but I just used the other ones in that case. BuzzSumo we already discussed. BuzzSpice we already discussed, and this is the the Twitter Analytics that I've also been discussing.
Brilliant. Okay, so if I could just ask our panel members to come up to the stage, please, if that's okay. So this is basically what we thought would be fantastic is if you could actually kind of hear directly from people out there in the market. So this, your peers around what they're actually kind of doing that's working really, really well. So thank you very much to all of our panellists for being part of today. If I could, if we start with Toby, and if I could just sort of go down the line and ask you all to just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your business, how long you've been going, kind of number of people that you've got, vertical markets you're working and stuff. Just a quick summary overview.
So everyone, I'm Toby Babb from Harrington Star. Started the business up in 2010, 4 years ago. We've grown it to 24 people now, and about to move into some offices in the city that allow us to scale to 60 in the next couple of years. So some exciting times coming up. We're financial services and commodities technology recruiters. That's me.
Thank you. I'm Alex, I'm from the Up Group. We're an executive search firm, about 7 years old, and there's about 20 of us. Our focus is on digital. We kind of hire for the likes of Google and Facebook and some growth companies like Skyscanner, Just Eat, and increasingly more traditional corporates with their digital roles.
My name is Brit van Capelle-Vee. I work at Tempo Team, corporate recruitment department, and we are responsible to recruit our own internal colleagues. And I am working as an advisor, e-recruitment, to help the whole department going more and more online.
Hi, Jonathan Hall from Cranberry Panda. We specialise in e-commerce recruitment on the commercial side, looking at working with high street retailers, online players. Been around for 4 years as well, 17 of us now, and looking for some significant growth over the next 2 years. The market's very buoyant, so it's very exciting for us right now.
So Jonathan, if we can kind of like start with yourself then. So, I mean, why was kind of putting a content marketing strategy in place so important for your business?
Yeah, I mean, the people that we're marketing to, the candidates that we're working with and clients that we're working with are from the digital sector, so they're very used to this environment and they're very much engaged with it as well. So for us, having content, making sure that they are aware that we are experts in the area and really appreciate and understand what they're doing, it is vital to the way that we come across to them. Most of the guys, myself included, have come from an e-commerce background and have moved into recruitment, so that was very important. We got that across. So they know they're talking to people who really understand the industry. And so content marketing obviously backs that up. We can talk about what we're doing, we can invite people to join the content that we're writing as well and get the message out in the right way.
Yeah. And tell us about your salary survey, which has recently been released.
Yeah, it's probably the most successful thing that we've done so far, and obviously the success sort of partly comes off the back of putting all the effort in beforehand to build up the communities on Twitter and sort of through LinkedIn and so on. But we interviewed a few hundred people in e-commerce, understood exactly how much they're getting paid, what the salary expectations are, what percentage increase they'd want to get if they move to a new job, how long they stay in roles. So it's really an insight for the candidates themselves to see, benchmark themselves in the industry, but also for the clients to understand what they need to do to maintain good people, because in e-commerce it's 12 to 18 months. 18 months is a long time. 12 months is typical for people to move on, so it's not long at all. But we've had about 2,000 downloads in our sector. That's good for us. We're very pleased with that. And several new clients as a result of it as well, so it's been very successful.
And how are you guys kind of like sharing this, or what sort of channels are you using?
All of them. Yeah. So obviously it's on our website. Our website's sort of very engaged. Which is on LinkedIn. We work with also have relationships with people like e-consultancy, Marketing Week, other publications as well who put it on their online portals. Facebook, we are on Facebook. It doesn't really work for us in the type of community that we're working with. Very good on Twitter, which is some relationships there as well. So pretty much everywhere we can, we get out there in the social world.
How are you guys going to kind of monitor you've obviously put a lot of kind of time and effort into creating this.
Yeah.
How are you guys going to kind of measure the ROI? Have you got any sort of metrics in place? Is there any way of kind of tracking back, what the actual ROI is?
Yes, so we've got in touch, so we tracked everybody who has downloaded the booklet. That's one of the main things. If you're going to give something away for free, then make sure you get something back, and name and address, email addresses is not much to ask for. So we can monitor them, we can certainly make sure that those people on the database, we know that they have downloaded it, and therefore we can track that to see whether or not they're people that we've placed or clients that we'll bring on in the future. I mean, we track everybody that we place into role and see where the original source was. And social for us comes about sort of 50% of all our placements come through social, with the majority of that being through LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you. Toby, so if we sort of come on to yourself then, so at Harrington Star, I noticed, I think it was about 2 or 3 days ago, the FinTech Capital went out,
Yeah.
so can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so we've running regular content, and it's something which we really wanted to invest quite heavily into, both in terms of time and in terms of cost to some extent. FinTech Capital is a completely user-generated piece of work, so it's a value add to our customers where people in that community can come in and talk about the questions which are affecting them. So in our case, regulation, compliance, areas of energy trading, etc., etc. And it's them writing thought leadership articles which showcase their brand to their community as well. So what we wanted to do was situate ourselves in that community and be part of the conversation rather than knocking and nagging at the door all the time. We wanted to have people talking and having a value add that they would usually, in a number of our industry competitor publications, would be having to spend up to £5,000 to showcase their branding. We've got 50-odd thousand people who would usually be asleep in our CRM system, who we're able to contact by putting good stuff in there that's seen us as contributors to the conversation in that sort of space. So the FinTech Capital is a good way. It's our third way of doing it now. We put it up into print and give 1,000 out to CEOs all around the city, and then also have this online piece that's getting shared and moving around, and all the companies are in it. There's 40-odd companies in this particular publication this month who are showcasing their brand as part of that major conversation in their industry. So it's something that helps us stand out, I think, a little bit to be helping show a lot of those companies, particularly fintech companies, the small startup companies, a little bit about their brand and showing them not as sales, but what they're doing and how they're contributing to that conversation as well.
And sort of talk us through, because I know that, you know, as Wes said, you know, you're kind of not alone in the company and stuff, and, you know, sort of getting people engaged from an employee perspective.
Yeah.
It'd be great to kind of share with you know, the sort of people here around what you do around getting your consultants kind of engaged on this.
Yeah. Well, I think it has to be a cultural thing, and if I was to say one thing that's really, really important is it's a big piece of work for one person to do individually, but we have 24 people who are then able to put a regular volume of content coming out, and if it's just little drips and drabs here and there, it lacks a bit of punch. But if you've got a constant wave of information that goes out to the community that's useful information, then suddenly you're always there and you're always consistent in the approach which you do. So culturally, I think there's a lot of work that we've done over the last couple of years to explain the benefit of this, because, you know, the traditional recruiter will look at it and say, that's taking me away from being on the phone, that's taking me away from doing my job. You know, there's not a short-term win. I'm not going to get a placement out of it today, but we've absolutely celebrated every result that we've had out of it. There's one particular company who we've showcased when they were really, you know, even pre-launch really, showcased their brand to the 45,000 people who it was going out to, gave them an opportunity to come into another business. They've been at our events where we network all 3 strands of our community. And those guys came back and gave us 10 jobs worth 150-odd thousand quid on exclusive, and all of a sudden that's your ROI that's come back to you really healthily, and people see that and they realise that if they want to be, our consultants want to be thought leaders in their industry, if they want to be recognised and they're putting good content out about stuff that matters to their people, and they see it constantly going, they constantly add every single person they're talking to their LinkedIn profile, people coming back 6 months later when they're ready to move again, or when they've thought about them, it's that soft sell, that soft touch that adds the sort of, we sort of say that those guys are doing the infantry work on the phones every single day in the office. We want the brand and our content strategy to be the Air Force that will come over and blanket bomb everyone when they're in trouble, being sat there fighting hand to hand. We then become the sort of strength that allows them to win the battle alongside that as well, and constantly add something different.
And you do a lot of events as well, so
yeah.
What about the sort of events that you guys are holding and stuff? What do you kind of create content off the back of that? What's
So look, we're really fortunate in the fact that we have 3 different channels who we work with, our consultancies, our vendors and our end users, and all 3 of those mixed together. So we can get those people together and give them the opportunity to meet and network and connect at the events that we hold. What we didn't want to do was just do another event where they're talking about financial technology and having another boring thing when we're competing with people who know what they're talking about physically in that sort of space, and just be the same. So what we wanted to add value. I think LinkedIn, it's about making people more profitable and successful. That's something which we've ripped off unashamedly from you, and really believe in that as a concept. It is about making our clients more profitable and successful in everything they're doing. not just by putting great people into their business, but by introducing them to other people who can be successful off making those connections. So those events will have thought leaders. So we've had some fantastic speakers from the military, from sport, from business, from all sorts of different backgrounds, come and talk and educate these people and give them the opportunity to mix and network thereafter. Off the back of those conversations, we'll always put a white paper together which takes the core lessons. And for everyone who hasn't come in, it started with 30 odd people. We did it at the Ritz. We had 30 people turn up to that event. We've now moved up to about 240 people coming on a quarterly basis to these events, and it's growing and growing and attaching our brand accordingly to that.
So Alex, if we can come on to you, so you work for a retained search firm. So how do you guys kind of, sort of position yourself? Obviously you're not doing any kind of advertising or anything like that, but how do you kind of position yourself around kind of content?
I mean, I guess ours is being an executive search firm, our approach is slightly different in the fact that we're trying to talk to our kind of key network. And so it's less kind of just putting some content out and trying to attract as many kind of eyeballs as possible. It's much more bespoke, I guess. But we take a very similar approach to Toby in our kind of events strategy. So we've always done events to kind of bring the network together and to kind of have a regular touch point with them ourselves and to kind of create content off the back of it. Yeah.
And you did the Digital Masters Award, so tell us about that.
Yeah.
The video was fantastic. I was just kind of like,
So it's kind of been the pinnacle, I guess, of that kind of way of thinking. So we launched that. I started at the company in February and we launched the first event in June. And it was kind of dual purpose for us. So it's allowed us to showcase kind of the best talent in digital. So kind of acts as a little bit of a shop window for what we do and how we understand talent. But it also, and then gave us a kind of a physical point to meet 400 of our network on the night. And then it's also kind of fueled a year-long content marketing strategy for us. So we have tons of videos off the back of it, interviews with winners that we can write into Q&As for blog posts. We're doing roundtables off the back of it with kind of some of our sponsors around some of the award winners as well. So it's just kind of filled our content calendar for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And you guys doing it again next year? So I was speaking about it, so it was just really great around how one event can generate so much kind of content. That, I think we were saying we were going to kind of push out the interviews every sort of month until the the next event. So it's kind of keeping that audience engaged and kind of keeping those people kind of warm, really. So, and in terms of kind of other sort of areas then as well. So from a kind of PR perspective, I mean, what sort of things do you guys do there? So
big off the back of the Digital Masters Awards, we had the Guardian Media Network as our media partner for it. Based on a content thing, really, so they wanted to kind of carry the information that we were providing about the winners, and part of that relationship as well was kind of negotiating. We wrote a blog post when we announced the shortlist about hiring for hypergrowth, which is one of our kind of key focuses, and they ran that blog post on the network with a link back to the awards and stuff. So it's about building those relationships with those key influencers and key journalists as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So this was the example that you gave us, Britt. So funny to see when you sent me this. The emphasis is definitely also on your personal brand and also on your personal network. Can you maybe explain to the audience here what we see here and why this is working so well?
Yes. I put a lot of effort in online, in being present, in helping people, and I truly believe in online karma. So you give and you give and you give and you give a little more, and then the favor return. And I work for a year and a half at Temple Team right now, and people know me and they're asking me questions about their CVs, their resumes, their LinkedIn profiles, their everything, and I keep on answering and answering and answering without getting anything back. But when I ask a question online, and you can see that below, and for the non-Dutch readers it says, "Who please help me share this vacancy," and it's a Temple Team vacancy. Everyone, well, like 269 people, 96 people are willing to help me at the moment like that. And I think that's great, and that's how online works for me, but I think also for a company.
I love that, online karma.
Online karma, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that gets tweeted. So there's a saying, I'm not sure if it's known here, but in the Netherlands, I always talk about the employer branding is the sum of personal brands within your organization. I know you have been really active on that part.
Mm-hmm.
Can you maybe tell us about the Brand Ambassadors program that you're running?
Yes. At the beginning of this year, last year, we asked 30 colleagues who are present online already, to tell their audience a little bit more about working at Tempo Team. Because we have a problem. The image of the job we are looking for most, and that's the staffing consultant, or interstudent in Dutch, it has a really bad image. We're looking for bachelor students with 1 or 2 years commercial experience, and these are the people who think, oh no, staffing consultant, I wouldn't think about that. So we asked our 30 colleagues to write about their jobs and write about how it's like to work at Tempo Team, but their own story. So not a marketing story or a PR story, their own personal stories. They tweet, they blog. We asked them to write a blog once a week, and we post it online on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, like everywhere. And in return, we gave these people more knowledge about online. So it's yeah.
Yeah. Just there you go with your karma again.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
It's all about karma.
Well, the next one actually is as well. So I love that example, and this was all mainly from a personal branding perspective, and this is actually something that was corporate set up. That's the big example over there. And again, I understand that you cannot read it because it's Dutch, but it's about you giving everybody that is interested a free online identity scan.
Yes.
Karma again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
can you talk a bit about your successes in that? What did it deliver? Because I can imagine it costs a lot of time that you put in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We listened to our audience, and we noticed a lot of job seeking issues. Again, about how do I write my CV? How do I write my LinkedIn profile? Blah 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 blah. And we also introduced our Facebook recruitment page. And we were thinking about a way to gain more fans. And that was the moment we introduced and developed a T-scan, or a social scan. And in this, everybody could, thank you, this scan. And our department, corporate recruitment, we made 160 scans. Gained 600 fans in 3 weeks, helped a lot of people, and did it all with the perspective of a recruiter. So we give everybody insights about their online profiles as a recruiter. Yeah.
Did you get some personal feedback on that? So
a lot.
Yeah?
A lot. Very much positive buzz online, but also interviews in magazines. So again, without any marketing or PR, we created a buzz. Yeah.
That's perfect. I'm aware of the time right now. I think we got like 3 minutes and 24 seconds.
That's actually wrong.
Oh, that's actually wrong.
Yeah, no, we're fine. We've got 20 minutes. So yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah,
oh, that's lovely. Oh, we got loads of time in that case. Thanks for the time. Can we? Who has questions? Who wants to ask the panel or us some questions?
How do you see new platforms like Pinterest being utilised by recruiters?
For who's the question?
Everybody.
Everybody.
I think it's a great way to show the look and feel of your company. Like a recruitment Pinterest, I think it's a great idea. But not to engage, only to show.
Yeah. I think all of these things are about trial and error and what's working right for your brand, because different areas will have different companies will have different followers in different places. So if there's an option to look into an area that can showcase your the social habits of your company through probably a Pinterest or a Facebook, through to the more professional side of things that maybe through LinkedIn, through to a different sort of type of conversation on Twitter. The important thing I think we've learned over the last couple of years is to make sure you're trying as many different things as possible and working out and refining and hearing the feedback about what's right to use.
We probably agree with the point, like trying it, but we probably have made a decision that our audience isn't really on there in terms of how we want to kind of make that kind of contact with them. But if you are going to go down that route, then make sure you do think Pinterest is like exceptionally visual, and really if you just stick in some in terms of, make sure your content is really visual, because that's what will kind of make that hook that will kind of get it shared. But
yeah, so a lot like Toby, we're trialling it as well at the moment. We've got sort of various boards that we pin things to, some silly, some about pandas, obviously, which funny enough get the most amount of hits. But it's not generating any revenue, it's not generating many click-throughs yet. But we are doing it because we want a presence there, and it might evolve into something further down the line that would be more valuable for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, guys?
Hello.
Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Hi. First of all, thank you very much. I really enjoyed all four, and I'm very nervous about my online karma now. But for a small agency, you know, we've started less than 8 months ago. We aspire to get to a point whereby, you know, we can hold events and we can do lots of things like that. If you were in our position now with the knowledge that you have and obviously being progressive, what would you advise would be the best thing to do in our position now to get to where you are?
How many people are you at the moment?
5.
5, okay. I mean, we brought in a marketing manager when we think 6 people, 7 people. It was always going to be one of our focuses to make sure that we had good content. We're active in the social media sort of spheres as well. So we weren't significantly bigger than you when we brought that person in to sort of build up that marketing plan and to implement it. So I would suggest maybe sort of consider that as your next step if your market is, you know, susceptible to that sort of advertising, that sort of approach.
I think I'd echo that. So our founder started doing events when they were a 2-person business. So the events kind of built the network. So I would maybe take that approach and start small with them. But and then content will come off the back of those. If the topic's interesting enough, then you'll be able to do a write-up of it and just kind of go from there, really. Yeah,
it's definitely a case for me of jumping in as early as possible. We waited a long time and procrastinated on it. And I think if you'd have your time again, you'd definitely jump into it a little bit earlier. And as I said, sort of start smaller and build out. But I think the wins you'll get from doing that and actually having the metal to go in and actually start it is well worth it. I mean, you only have to look at our sort of follower stats we were talking about earlier on. It took us 3 years to get to about 150 people, and then over the course of last year, it's gone up to 4,500 through putting content out there and actually realising that here's the play that you can make. So, yeah, from my perspective, absolutely. If you can jump in there and just put the time in there to calendar it in the right sort of area and just have regular stuff going out, and it doesn't have to be. Look, we found our very first magazine, the first Trading Technologist, as it was literally 20-odd pages worth of waffle on A4, and we thought we were really clever because we put it into PDF and put a board around it, and that was the magazine as it first started out, and it's evolved and it's evolved and it's evolved. But even at that stage, it was getting people engaged with it because it was about the content, and then we started just getting them to write little bits and pieces. So it's crap at that sort of stage in terms of visual layout, but the content was more or less the same, and people engaged with the content, and now we could just badge it a little bit further. And I think the quicker you do it, the quicker you get reward from it.
Yeah, I mean, try and utilise some of the people that are already in your network, so candidates that you're very friendly with, some of your clients, get them to contribute as well, so you've got some sort of proper information, some really good content that gives you credibility as well, but saves you actually having to do all the work. So.
Good.
Yeah, other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, in practical terms and without using a big stick, how do you, so in practical terms and without using a big stick, how do you ensure consultants are readily and consistently generating good quality, relevant content?
You're asking me?
Yeah, you can answer it.
We don't. They're free to write whatever they want. We only check the content when it's a blog on language and language use. We made a content calendar, as everyone else here did, and we asked people in January to write a blog in September, so they are fully prepared, and have a lot of time to think about what they're writing or they're gonna write. They're totally free further.
They'll still write it the night before, though, right? They'll still write it the night before.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think it's that's very much about making sure there's a really clear what's in it for me, and that's something, you know, we're not a stick business. I don't believe that you're going to get people really doing things well if you're constantly driving them to do it. But there's an accountability aspect of saying, look, let's get the theory out first and foremost about why we're doing it. We spent a lot of time researching the best ways of doing it. We've shown people the benefits, and then I think I said before, it's very much about the celebration of every little win you get out of it. And those little wins become contagious, and then people will start getting very, very proud of it. And I think the consultants in the business will talk with real pride about what we're doing in our insight and events and programme, because it becomes very much part of something which they're seeing themselves as distinguishing themselves about and becoming thought leaders about. And when that's there, it's less of a stick and more actually, look, this is going to help me out and this is where it's going to go for me.
Ours is exactly the same. It's kind of showing them the value of getting involved when it seems quite conceptual, but if, like, the awards is a case in point, the night of it, everyone's there because we've invited them there, and they're kind of men and women of the hour. And I guess the good feeling they get from that, and then the conversations they can have off the back of that for the next kind of 6 months, really, it's just showing that value to them.
It helps them as well when they realise they can have a conversation that's not, you've got any jobs, and it's having a different level of conversation with people. Look, I'll put the caveat to it, that is it can lead to comfort canvassing, where people forget what their actual job is a little bit. And that's an important part to say that whilst I think someone said earlier on about the Trojan horse, people can get obsessed about selling the free stuff and forget about the money-making bits and pieces. So as long as you're clear and you explain it and you're really thorough in your training around it, then that becomes a really good way of doing it. But I think people will be found to be a lot more comfortable doing the things there which they perceive as easier than actually there's some of the things which they have to get sticked with in other areas.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing to get consultants to start doing, that's for sure. I mean, it does take a lot of incentive. They do need to be able to see that once they've posted something, if they can see the results of that post, then that obviously sort of, validates the effort that they put into that piece of work. Obviously, some of your consultants will write better than other consultants as well, so they'll need the support around them to maybe make it a bit more readable and interesting. I mean, all our consultants are kind of specialists within the area of e-commerce, so one looks after analytics, one looks after merchandising. So they've always got an individual topic to talk about as well, and lots of insight that they've actually gained from the consultant, from the candidates they're talking to. So there's always something to discuss, and once they've done it, they'll realise that the candidates will start talking to them about it, and they'll start feeling like they are even more of an expert in that area, and again sort of gain that credibility, which is really valuable.
We actually use LinkedIn as a bit of a competition tool as well. So when we do content and we ask them to kind of republish to their own feeds as well, we kind of do a little bit of a who got the most likes and shares and stuff like that, and they're amazingly competitive. So.
Well, is it actually something that is? So I'm wondering if we are to incentivize your consultants for posting content. What are your thoughts about that?
We do. We have done. We've got a guy who's a big fella, and he got a breakfast over at the Hawksmoor and literally came back and fell asleep for the rest of the day. So I wouldn't say it, but when you get I do believe in the power of competition, and we've got analytics that show which posts are being downloaded the most on the site, and that's the thing for us. We want to drive as much as we can back to our website and get people coming back to there and finding the jobs and then getting involved in it. And it's had a massive impact in terms of the direct amount of candidates that are coming back to us now through the website, which we didn't have before. So I agree that if you can put that in there and actually people then take some pride out of winning that competition as much as that, they would other competitions in the business as well, then I think it's always good to reward behaviour. Otherwise, it's not seen as something that's important to the business if we're not attaching any importance to it as well.
Have you guys got any kind of like, just like anecdotes about, sort of good news stories about when you pushed out a piece of content, have you made a sort of placement off the back of it, or any kind of stories that you guys can share with the audience around actually, when you do something like this, what the actual kind of output is?
Well, my first ever placement when I founded Cranberry Panda 4 years ago was through Twitter, and I thought this is going to be really easy. So basically I got into a friend who built our website needed a project manager, so I got on Twitter and sort of posted it, tweeted it. A friend retweeted it, somebody came back and said, yep, I'm a project manager, I'd like that job. Put him forward and he got the job within 2 weeks. And I was thinking, yeah, this is far too easy. I'm going to be loaded. A little bit harder than that, I found out.
Yeah, there's I talked earlier on about trying different bits and pieces, and I think imagery is an important thing. We've had a guy who's come in recently who hadn't really done anything in recruitment beforehand, who 2-3 months later is just trying lots of different bits and pieces, and there's a position he's recruiting for out in Turkey, I think it is, which is bizarre because we don't really do anything much outside the UK. We had a position come up in Turkey and he put a picture of a beach there and something about the BAs and PMs required for this particular role, and there's nothing that he's found anywhere else other than putting that suddenly a beach up there and the name, the details on it saying fancy a job in Turkey, and he's got interviews directly off the back of that straight away. So I think when you're different, people just generally treating LinkedIn as to put another one of the job specs out time again in the same way just becomes the noise. And I think when you can just differentiate it a little bit with that sort of stuff, that's potentially a £20,000 deal for them that comes off the back of just doing something and trying something a bit different. And with everything that we've, just by using that, I guess that Trojan horse piece of putting a company into our magazine, and that magazine then giving an audience to that company, that audience buying off that company, them getting then a deal off it, which actually happened, and then that deal resulting in headcount growth is directly attributed, I think, to all the work that we've been doing around that sort of stuff. So, yeah, we're in it for the long run.
It's just trying to mix up the serious stuff with the fun stuff as well, and called Cranberry Panda, we can have a bit of a laugh with our name and our business, don't take it too seriously. But some of the sort of most engaged things that we've done in LinkedIn last Halloween, we posted a picture of a social media manager Halloween costume, which actually your CEO and your CEO in the States sort of liked, and then that kind of went viral very quickly, which was fantastic. But then other stuff, we've sort of written job adverts for Tottenham Hotspur manager or Chelsea manager and things. They just take off. I don't know whether they generate any sort of candidates and stuff, but it does get us out in the network and widen our reach a bit further. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Are there any other questions?
My personal most successful communication tool actually is WhatsApp.
Okay.
Do you have any advice how to use it even better?
I'm out on this one.
No,
we don't use it for anything.
No, not for recruitment.
Well, can you explain maybe how that is so successful for you? Because we can learn from it. It would be great.
Direct to the person you like to reach. He or she reads it and responded at the moment that fits her best. And I always get a reaction on it. Yeah, it's hard to find the number every now and then, but it's incredibly effective.
That's really good.
And I once got a WhatsApp with in the blog a kind of logo from that person, and I'm still searching for the software how you can do that. But it was very, very nice.
But you do search these people, find their numbers, and then send them a WhatsApp, and that's working.
Them through WhatsApp, yeah.
Okay,
very personal.
Good to know.
Yeah. Britt is taking notes.
Yeah, mentally.
I took notes from your stories.
Okay.
So, just to kind of like finish up then,
yes.
If we just go through the kind of key takeaways.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. No worries. So for us it was really important to give you a couple of key takeaways. So we really want to make sure that when you leave, you have a couple of things that you can actually do. I hope we succeeded. But the first one is absolutely set your goals. How do you set your goals? You need to know what is your brand, your desired brand, what is the perceived brand, and you have to find your gap. That's one of your goals. You want to make sure you're perceived the way you want to be perceived. Build personas, make sure you know who you're talking to, and it all starts with listening, both of them ways. So finding the gap, finding the right personas, it starts with listening and knowing who you're talking to. The next one is all about content. So make sure you know what content to place on what channel for your specific audience. So it's all again about that relevance. And make use of tools. And I can't wait to actually read all the great tips that you have been sharing. So if you have not done it, you have the entire day, or you can just get in contact with one of us. We're all here, and we'll all be staying here for a while, at least for the party. So make sure you're there. So we would like to thank you all for being here, and see you tonight.